Dave Gleason, welcome back again.
I appreciate that. I really do. Because we've talked so many times over the last however many years. I really just want to make an impact and educate parents, coaches, and young athletes on the truth, So I appreciate that comment a lot because sometimes it feels like we're swimming upstream.
Well, there's not many people like you in the industry in general. And I think what I appreciate about you and my audience is that you have been in youth sport performance for a few decades and more now. You've played at a high level yourself with soccer. You have two boys who have been through the youth soccer system and are now in college and out of college. So you have experienced everything in this world. And I just really think more parents need to hear your message of what it takes for their kid to be healthy, a high performer, and also just an athlete for life. And that's really what we're going to talk about today because you had such an amazing post relating youth fitness to the weight loss industry. And I'm going to read this post because it's very clever. So here it is. Sports performance in youth fitness has turned into what weight loss is in adult fitness. Attention seeking hooks versus reality. Views, follows, and likes versus what is best for kids. Short term improvement versus long term development. Quick fixes versus results that last a lifetime. Simple versus fancy. One size fits all versus what kids actually need. Money grabs versus appropriate programming. Truths versus myths. Youth sports and the preparation to play them have become a profitable industry. Social media allows for spread of information and misinformation to parents, coaches, and kids. Remember, if it seems too easy or too good to be true, it usually is. So, we're going to talk about all that today. Is there anything you want to expand on? I mean, you said a lot in that post. So, let's talk about it.
Well, I I I love. I think it's really important that we always give context in posts, right? So you either do that through the description in a post, if it's a cool image, or you grab people's attention a little bit, or within the post itself. Um, yeah, I've been in the fitness industry as a whole for 35 years now, and like many people my age, the starting point was in health clubs or large fitness centers, multi-purpose facilities that had tennis and fitness and swimming and all that. So even though I worked with kids starting when I was in high school on the soccer side of things, and I had always trained kids, whether it was exclusively or not, I also grew up in the industry training adults, and most of the time it had something to do with weight loss, right? And so going back to this post, after the initial statement, like myth versus reality, like you could take each one of those verses quotes and apply it to either weight loss with all of the, like, how many diets are there? Diets. Hundreds. How many supplements are there claiming to help you lose weight quickly? How many exercise machines do we see that you can burn more calories and lose weight faster? How many over the counter or prescribed drugs do we have in this country right now for that quick fix? You could apply all the same phrases to sports performance now. Youth fitness or youth sports is obviously, it's something we want all our kids to be involved in some way. But now there's this category, a segment of the industry that is specifically based on the performance of the kids. How fast are they? How strong are they? What team can they get on? How much playing time can they ultimately play in college? so forth and so on. And I want to put this in context as well, Erica. I'm not saying it's bad to make money doing what you love. It's not. Most of us in any segment of the fitness industry do it because we have a passion for helping others. There's an altruistic part of it. I know this. If I make more money, I can reach more people. I can help more people. So I also do things knowing to inform people about what I do and what I can offer so I can make more money and hopefully get what I do out there more and more to help more people and help more kids. That's why for 15, almost 16 years, I had a brick and mortar gym at a 2,500 square foot gym because I wanted to reach more kids. Right. And now I'm almost exclusively online because I want to reach even more kids through parents and coaches and through social media so that eventually the information gets to kids. So uh, hopefully that puts the context of that post um, together a little bit and why I phrased it that way. It's very parallel,
Mm.
in my opinion.
It is. And I did forget you worked in personal training, mainly working with weight loss clients. I think a lot of strength coaches do start working in that space and then they shift into athletes only. And I also did personal training as well, like 13 years ago, while I was also working with athletes. And a lot of your clients in personal training are clients trying to lose weight. And weight loss is hard because there is a ton of misinformation out there. And I know a lot of like women especially are being preyed on with supplements and detoxes and quick fixes and every diet under the sun, or Orange Theory classes popping up and Peloton and all these different gadgets and gizmos, and kind of what you said, fancy versus simple. And the truth is, in weight loss and youth fitness, it's really doing the simple things well and
Hmm.
being a savage about the simple and doing it for many years. And
Hmm.
that's what leads to sustainable results, and not
Hmm.
a weight loss client or a youth athlete dropping out of training quickly because they didn't get results in a month's time.
Hmm.
And that's where it's like
Hmm.
expectations need to be clear. Like you
Hmm.
said, the context of posts on social media, even I think about it for myself, and I'm sure you do too. But I think social media is hard because they'll see posts like, oh, improve speed with just these three drills, or get faster in our 2 month speed program, or gain mental confidence in just a 2 week program. I've seen that one too recently, which is
Hmm.
very scary. So yeah, it's something that parents need to discern and be careful with. It
Right.
it always comes back to doing simple well and
Right.
over many months, many years, and you never
Right.
stop. You never stop in your lifetime, even when you
No.
end playing sport.
So I have notes, and I told Erica before we started, only because I want to make sure I'm accurate. I don't want to give you information that's not accurate in terms of what's out there because I want to teach people what to look for, right? And then also, one of the reasons I've loved working with you, Erica, is because it's not about just pointing things out in turn or ranting or complaining. What do we do about it? What is the correct way to do? What strategies are there for parents and kids to look forward to get their kids the help that they need? So that's part of it as well. One thing, just to kind of put a bow on our opening here, was is a couple of thoughts that that came to mind. One is quick versus permanent, or more permanent. When you're dealing with kids, kids are always changing as they grow and develop as human beings, right? So you could have great gains over, say, 18 months, and then they go through a growth spurt and you feel like they're backtracking. They feel like they're backtracking. Their parents feel like they're backtracking. But development goes like this. For one, we want to hold on to as much permanence as possible, and quick fixes don't do that. It's human nature. If I could have something now instead of waiting 6 months for it, of course I would take now. But believing the truth, where if I do that in 6 months, it's going to be gone completely. So, another phrase that I use a lot with athletes and parents is say we'll use the word speed. I mean, we could use the word performance because that's what we started with. Performance meaning speed, strength, power, getting the 50-50 balls quicker, having more endurance at the end of the game, being stronger on the ball, all the things that we want. Those are outcomes, not the goals. Just like in weight loss is not the goal. My most successful clients believed in that truth. That weight loss wasn't the goal. The goal is meal prepping. The goal is making better choices with your meals. The goal is getting enough sleep. The goal is, yes, exercising or moving on a daily basis with, 2 or 3 sessions with me that are a little bit more intense, or whatever it is. The goals lead you to the outcome. So when I meet with new parents now, even if college is the goal, it's not the goal, it's going to be the outcome. But we're going to set goals that get you there, and that's where the focus needs to be. Because when the goal is, I'm a midfielder, I need to be faster, get on TikTok, and there it is. And I wrote down 4 like opening statements, and I want to read some of them if it's okay, Erica, because again, I want there to be an accurate depiction of what to look for, you guys. What's out there and why it's this way. So just first one was low impact conditioning for midfielders to stay in shape during the season. And next one, if you're a midfielder who needs speed and explosiveness, then these 4 exercises were made just for you. And like there's super high energy and like bouncing around. And guys, that's called a hook. And it's okay. We want to grab your attention to give you credible information. But if you like, I read between the lines here, and what I want to educate people on is if you're a midfielder, yeah, that's me. I'm a 16-year-old midfielder. I need more speed. These 4 exercises were made just for you. Sweet, I have to do these. That's the mentality. That's the psychology. Marketing is based in psychology. And as consumers, you guys that are even coaches, but parents and kids, you need to know that and keep that in mind. Just because it sounds awesome doesn't mean it is. Here's another one. And I can't mimic this person's energy because they were really good at it, at least not right now. But wingers, right? And that's going back a little bit. When I played, I was called a winger. We don't even use that term anymore. Wingers, are you needing to improve your speed? I have 3 drills that will have you that you have to start adding immediately. So again, yeah, I'm a forward. I need more speed. Just 3 things. I'm gonna watch this and I'm gonna do them today.
And Dave, I would also ask the question, who are these 3 drills for? An 8-year-old or an 18-year-old? Because it's
There's no
not going to be the
context there.
same drills for those athletes.
There's no context there, but that's a great segue into the drills themselves. So last like hook, and this is a person saying this stuff, not just the title of the video. Soccer players, do you want to achieve peak athletic ability? Like who doesn't? I still do, right? This video was literally meant for you. I'm hooked. What is it? I want to see this. So then, as I continue to watch this video, it's a circuit, which by itself at the right time for the right athlete can be okay. Circuit meaning you do this exercise for either a certain amount of time or a certain number of reps. Then you go to the next one, next one, next one, next one. It's like boot camp style. Max pogo jumps, like as fast as you can. So it's max effort. Hanging knee raises, not a beginner exercise. Triple broad jump. So you are on 2 feet, you jump out as far as you can 3 times in a row, as fast as you can. V sit tuck ups. Again, it's not a bad exercise. It's not a beginner exercise by any means. Dumbbell split squats, great exercise, but for who? Weighted side raises. In the right situation with the right athlete, it could be great. But this is max effort on all of these, one after another. And to your point, Erica, there's no, like, for who? An 8-year-old, an 18-year-old, a college player, a middle schooler?
A post ACL.
Right. No
Yeah.
exercise history, no knowledge, and there's no way any of us can know knowledge on what's the person that's watching, the athlete that's watching, what's their movement ability like? How well do they already move? Are they going through an uncoordinated stage because they're in middle school, going through puberty and growth spurts? What's their rate of technical ability? So if I were to evaluate how well they change direction, what's the angle of their foot when they plant? Where is their knee in relation to their hips and their ankles? How much dorsiflexion or flexion up does their ankle have? Like, all what's their posture look like? Are they hunched over? Or they have a nice acceleration posture? Like all these different things. uh, That's why I will never post a workout or an exercise, especially without context. And usually when I do, it has something to do with mobility, flexibility, or how to activate muscle tissue. It's never, you need to do this workout. This was made just for you. You need to add this today. What time of the year is it? I mean, I would have felt a little bit better about some of these videos that I see if there was at least a progression and a regression. So, start with an exercise. Say it's like a box jump. Here, if you're not here yet, do this version. If this is easy for you, do this. But again, I feel like that's dangerous because you don't know who's watching. Someone who's coming off of a severe ankle sprain that's just got cleared from physical therapy, am I going to have them do max 3 broad jumps in a row? But they don't know any better. And that's what really got me fired up and was the impetus behind this post. And I'm so glad that you took notice and you're like, let's talk about this. Because what I just talked about, the specifics of the videos, the exercises, all of that, it's so important that people understand. Like, I hope I was able to break it down for people and show why these videos work. This person has like 30,000 followers, and their videos get like 50,000 plus views. Like, so influencer for sure. I don't know what kind of trainer or strength coach they actually are in real life. Everything is that I've seen is filmed in a gym that looks legit. Like I would set it up. So they might be great at what they do, but then you go online and do this. It's infuriating because then, Erica, you and I, unfortunately, we'll get clients because of videos like this because they're hurt or they're frustrated, and or they're overtraining now, I mean, there's just a litany of things that can happen that are not positive, and there's no guarantees. So I'll pause my rant.
I thought that was really helpful because you're telling parents what to really look out for and to ask questions. And look, I think on social media, hooking people in with a reel like that, like, oh, here's three things, it does grab people's attention to maybe ask you further questions about your training, but that's what parents need to do is you need to ask questions and not take that reel for what it is and think that it applies to your kid. It's just an
Hmm.
opportunity to get into that coach's DM, shoot them a message and be like, "Hey, is this appropriate for my 10-year-old who's currently in season right now and playing on two different soccer teams?" as an
Hmm.
example. So, I think it's fine for influencers to hook people in, but parents, your job is to make sure you ask questions and not take everything for what it is. And you'll find this so funny, Dave. So I'm starting to even question this with like my own reels that I post of just my girls in Tampa working out, and I'll post the different age groups and how training's different, and hopefully people read the caption and not just look at the reel. But I
Hmm.
had a mom of a remote athlete email me and be like, "Man, I wish we could work with you in person because your sessions for speed look so much more intense." And you know what the crazy thing is that I have the exact same speed program remotely as I do for my Tampa girls of the same age group. The only
Hmm.
difference that that mom saw on the reel was it's like back to back exercises. We're doing pogos and bounds, and then we're running our sprint, and there's rap music in the background, and it's super flashy. But what's not in that reel is we are resting for anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes in between those movements. So the remote athlete and the in-person girls, they're doing the same speed workout, but on social media it looks like my in-person athletes are getting such a crazier speed workout, which
Hmm.
I thought was so interesting, and it made me question, wow, maybe I should post a reel that shows my athletes in person running a sprint and then we're just standing around picking grass for 5 minutes. Like that would be a really funny reel, but it
Right.
would show the
Well, I
truth of
I know this
everything.
about you too, and I was thinking about this. You're also talking to them. You're building that connection. You're asking them about things that are important in their lives. And more often than not, and I think this is super important for parents to think about as well, the way that I post and the way that you post is those pictures of kids smiling while you're talking to them. And you might be in the middle of describing what they're doing next, or again, just trying to connect with them so that they feel heard and important as players and as, young girls. And also social proof, right? It's a mix. So when someone who has influence on social media because they have more reach only posts super high intense showing there's no reps. You go from this to this and this with no social proof, no relationship building posts or posts about how to deal with a tough situation where you were starting and now you're not, or a tough coach, or should I switch clubs? Like the totality of what a performance coach actually does, it's it's it adds to that. Like it's like the weight loss of adult fitness.
Mhm.
It's just more of the same. And how can we hook them? How can we hook them? How can we hook them? Where when you have a mix, again, like you have, and what I try to do as well, as much as possible, is we hook with like flashbangs on the video or zoom in, zoom out. And those are all techniques we can use just to capture your attention, folks, so that you can see the truth. Because if we don't capture your attention, all you're seeing is the other stuff, right? And we can't post the 25 to 30 minutes of muscle activation, tissue quality, range of motion and flexibility work, dynamic warm up that we do, because you'd swipe or swipe up, you'd go to the next video. But what we're teaching our kids is to be remarkable at the little things that other kids don't want to do. Everybody just wants to do the fancy box jump. Like, and again, a box jump is not a bad exercise, so I shouldn't say it that way. They want to do all the fancy, fast stuff immediately and all the time and get results. It'd be like when you're in school, if all you did was take tests, right? You'd fail. There's no learning, right? The goal is not an A on a test. I mean, it is, but the goal is we're going to teach this today. And then that's going to progress to this. And then this. Oh, they're not getting this concept in science? Well, we need to review this or go back and try to reteach it so that at some point when there's a final exam or whatever, they can do well, and it's showing that they've absorbed that information and they understand it and they can use it. And it's exactly what we do as well. Did they absorb the better movement quality, the speed, the acceleration, the ability to stop and react and do all these things? The test is the games. And there's pre and post testing as well. I do that as well. But the tests are the outcome. How much outcome did we get? Right? So I'm glad you put your video in context, because I don't want it, again, like, not like, before we started this, I said, I really want to be super accurate with people with this so that they know what they're looking for and they can read between the lines. So I'm glad that you explained, some of your kind of workout videos opposed to the other things that you post, because it's so true. And parents, if you really don't know, the other thing that Erica said that's so important, DM that coach and start asking questions. Don't just take it on face value.
Yeah, and also realize the post you're seeing, say it's a bunch of advanced exercises back to back to back, you also need to realize the many months of training that came before that for those athletes to be able to perform those movements well. So, something like a high box jump, they didn't just perform it like that on day one and then the reel was posted. That athlete was probably training for many months. So it comes back
Mm-hmm.
to habits versus outcome. Get excited about the habit of training and the process that it is, and not just about, oh, I'm able to do a box jump. Well, it's like, that's the outcome. What's next? Are you just going to stop training now that you got faster or can do a box jump? No, you continue to improve. You continue to be consistent with the basics. And I
Yeah.
think I've told you, Dave, about my journey training for this track meet this month with Team USA. I'm running in the 60 meter. I started training 6 months ago, and I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of sad that the event's about to happen and it's about to be over, because I've just enjoyed training speed relentlessly so much and dialing in my nutrition and really leaning into my recovery and improving my basic habits even more. And I just love the process of training. And then when that meet does come in a few weeks, it's like that event is going to be less than 8 seconds of my life and then it's done. But for me, it's not done because I want to keep improving, because I just love the process of seeing how much better I can get with the simple things. And I think young kids need to fall in love with the simple things and the daily habits they're doing to become great. this is about becoming great. And I think the best athletes love the process, whereas athletes are just so focused on the end outcome and just improving a number or getting a scholarship. Those are the ones that don't stick with it because they don't
Hmm.
truly love it. They don't truly enjoy the process, and they don't get excited about the simple things.
I could not agree more. And I think what starts to happen as a result of that, and I'm thinking about some conversations I've had, and I've shared some of these text conversations with you to get your feedback on a 14-year-old female soccer player. Um, I used to love practice, and what, practice sucks. No, man, like that. I get to like that's when I was with my guys, and I could like we could talk and joke around in between drills when we go over for a water break. We're like doing whatever. And I love the process of like, all right, coach wants us to do this drill or whatever it is. And like, can I get better at it? Like rep after rep, like, oh, I'm supposed to hit a 40-yard ball diagonally to the opposite, midfielder who's making an overlapping run. Oh, it was behind, like that was behind him. So my plant foot was a little too far to my left. I need to like put it out in front of him. Like that whole process to me was so fun, and to be able to, like, just go all out, and it's with your friends and your teammates, and, like, I always felt a little bit more pressure in games because I also wanted to win, so that added more pressure there, but now I have all these conversations with these kids, and, like, they hate going to practice because it's a constant, like, and so now they don't. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe that's happening, so people are starting to lose the love for the process, right? Because practices are so like fail first. This is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. And we're just going to give you these fast and fancy drills, even though you don't have the technical ability to receive and pass the ball with the inside of your foot really well, time after time after time, because all we're doing is these fancy drills with a lot of movement so you can learn the tactical aspect of the game, and then we're getting yelled at because we can't do it well. Like, I can understand as a 12, 13, 14-year-old player how, like, yeah, I wouldn't really be enjoying practices anymore. So, like, I don't want to enjoy the journey. I only want the outcome. I want to win games and I want to score goals. I want to go to college. So, is that being projected onto the rest of their lives in terms of how they train for their sport? Maybe. It seems very parallel to me. Seems very parallel to me. And I love your story about you training for 6 months. And if your only goal was a certain time in the 60, would you still have the same focus to make sure you're rolling out and make sure all your muscle tissue and your connective tissue is functioning well, right? Getting out all those knots, making sure between all those layers you get that fluid that's like oil and not honey or glue. So you're bouncy, springy, explosive. Would you have enjoyed the process of today I have to work really hard today because it's a rest day, and all I feel like doing is running and going after it mentally. So like today, I need to just meal prep, chill out, and really let my body heal, knowing tomorrow I'll be all the better for it and I can go harder. You know, would you be as concentrated on, all right, my food choices by and large have to get me closer to where I want to go, not further away? And parents, coaches, and kids, that's a yes or no question when you ask that question. Pick any food you want. Does this help me get closer or not? Sort of is not an answer.
Mhm. And
It
Dave,
just isn't. And some are better than others, right? Just are you making the best choices you can with what you have, right? And it's not to say you can't have ice cream or whatever, but ask yourself that question, because the little things, as you said, when you do the little things well, consistently, meaning you're doing them all the time for a long period of time, the change, the improvement in the performance is something most kids, I think, will have never imagined, because most aren't willing to do it.
and Dave, I do want to add to that because I think the outcome is fine, but it has to be a deeper why to that outcome than just, I want to get this time for speed.
Mhm.
And of course, I want to run a 7.5 second 60 meter. But just a backstory on why I signed up for this. I got really sick a year ago and lost my health. And when I started to slowly come back and be able to train again, I just really wanted to get healthier. And by training for this, I had to really change what I was doing with my nutrition and tracking my health and my blood work. Like, I've gone really deep with this. And as a result of my why being my health, as to why I'm doing this meet, my times have been amazing. And I'm sure you saw the reel the other day. I'm faster at age 35 than when I was 21 years old as a college soccer All American. So I don't think if I would have had that deeper why, I wouldn't have really taken radical action to make these nutritional changes, to fall in love with the basics of proper speed training and strength training. And people have asked me, oh my gosh, like, what's in your training? What are you doing? It must be so crazy. And I'm like, I sprint, I squat, I deadlift. It's very basic. It's very straightforward. I'm really dialed in with nutrition. I rarely deviate from my plan. And as a result, health is up, speed times are great. And it's like, I think if my why was, oh, I just want to get a 7.5 second, then I would have fallen off within month one.
100%. Because if it wasn't emotional to the point where you're like, I am going to research and do everything I can that's right to get to the outcome, you might as well do this. Soccer players don't want to achieve peak ability and max pogos, hanging knee lifts, triple jump, V-sits, dumbbell split squats, and you know, weighted side raises. Like, if you're not knowing what you know either.
Mhm.
It, that's what I mean. Like, you could apply this to any athlete. I could say lacrosse players that want more speed, do this. But a lacrosse player that's really vested because their goals are so ingrained in who they are, and they're to the point where they're emotional, they'll peel everything, all the noise away to get to the truth and do what's best for them. There'll be some mistakes in that happen as people navigate things on their own, because you can't trust everything that you see. So, maybe a reoccurring theme here, Erica, you've said it at least twice, and I've said it, I think, at least once. It's really important that parents ask questions. It's really, really important. Sometimes it'll start with, um, you know, what's your clientele look like? Do some research on your own, answer your own questions, get on their website. And if they work with NFL players, but they're posting a video about, soccer midfielder speed, not to say that coaches can't train different types of athletes, but who are they working with? What's their passion? What's their outcome that they're looking for? I Eric and I could both work with any athlete. I could pick apart any sport and figure out the relative needs of that athlete and then talk to that individual and do an assessment to figure out what their specific needs are. Um, but I love soccer, and everything I research and do is geared towards soccer. And then I have to make modifications if I do get a track athlete or a football player or a lacrosse player. So it's really, really important. But start by asking uh, questions and maybe be specific. Hey, would this be appropriate for a 15-year-old that is just got cleared for a return to play for soccer? And hopefully you get an honest answer.
And Dave, kind of expanding on that theme of asking questions, I also think the parent should ask their athlete questions. Well, why do you want this outcome? Why do you want to improve your speed? Now, if the answer to that question is, well, I, as the parent, want my child to improve speed, then we've already lost right there. They're not going to stick with it
Hmm.
or want to do a speed program. Like the kid has to want speed for themselves. And if they do, then ask them why. Why do you want to improve speed? Well, I just want to get faster. Why do you want to get faster? Well, it will help me score more goals. Well, why do you want to score more goals? Well, it will help my team. I can be a part of something. I can be a part of raising the collective of this team, or just things like that, that you kind of want to peel back the onion on and get clear on what their deeper why is. Because once it gets emotional, like you said, then that's when the kid falls in love with that process of training to get faster. Or maybe they
Yeah,
were a kid
100%.
that was benched and they lost confidence, and they think
Hmm.
speed is going to really help them improve their confidence and leave an impact on the team. That could be a deeper why as well. So really get clear on
Hmm.
that. It can't just be like this BS answer, well, I just want to get faster.
I'm so glad you said that. And that could be in person or remote, right? I just started with a D1 college player going into her junior year, limited playing time consistently, but hasn't broken through. And, what are your goals? Speed and endurance for the top two physically. That was the question. It was, Erica, what would more speed do for you? Right? And it was great because it was a lengthy answer, right? What would more, and okay, I'd be able to make faster runs. She's a forward. Okay, what would that do for you? I would score more goals. Okay, what would that do for you? And as I peeled, like you just said, what came out was I really need to and have to prove to myself that I can do it. Yeah. As you go up in level, you experienced this, you've played at a high level. So have I. The higher the level, sometimes the less of an impact you make because everybody is better, right? When I was 8, I was playing against older kids because I could just go coast to coast, right? And now I'm 12, not so much, right? Now I'm in high school, and now I need my teammates around me to set me up and put me in great positions so I can score goals. And in college, it was like, I hope I play, So she needed, and the other part of it is she loves her coach. So she also wants to prove to her coach that she can do it because her coach sounds great. She's like, I know you have it in you. You just have to keep working. And it's like the second you earn it, you're going to get more time. I know you can be an impact player for us. So she's got like this emotional passion in her to prove something to herself and be in college, what she experienced through middle school and high school, where, she was boss, and she wants to be that again. She wants that feeling again.
I
And
think
so I'm so glad that you phrased it that way. So now I can say with any particular exercise or movement or stretch or flossing or rolling out the boring stuff. This is going to make you faster. Remember what that's going to do for you. Everything we choose to do is going to lead to the outcome you want, which is proving to yourself that you have it, that you can be an impact player, that you can play, 80 plus minutes in a 90-minute match, that you can score goals for your team and you can contribute. So, because when you go back to that, everything means more. I could have her do, I was kind of having her do, it was a version of a split squat where I wanted a little bit more bounce up, lightweight. As soon as that front foot hits the ground, it's like a forward lunge. I want you right back up. So let's work on explosiveness a little bit in that way. It was good. And so then I said to her, remember why we're doing this? What's the outcome? And all of a sudden now she is getting after it. And then I was like, that's what we need to have happen. Now we're going to take a 3-minute break because that was max effort. And then we talked about school and all kinds of other stuff. So that's another reason, you guys, why you have to ask questions and you have to find, like, what about that outcome is important to you. And if it's not emotional, if that's not what's getting you up out of bed in the morning, then it might not be the thing.
Well, Dave, I think that was a brilliant place to end this. And again, it's always a pleasure talking to you about these controversial topics. But we just want to help parents discern and see the truth that is youth long term development. And it is not a weight loss hack. If anyone tries to sell you a hack or 3 exercises to do this or do that, then please run the other way, or at least ask
Mm-hmm.
questions and see if there's more to the program or more to the trainer. But just take everything you see on social media with a grain of salt, even on our pages. That's why we do these longer discussions. That's why I love doing the podcast with long form content, because we can really dive deep on what youth development is and what programming looks like for the length of an athlete's career. So, Dave, thank you again, and I will see everyone on the next episode.